Hello, this is Einar Søby from Unity Web TV. Today we have a special guest, Dr. Jubb from Tasmania, Australia. Lots of people know him from before. He has been doing lots of great stuff in America for many years, working as a doctor in cell biology.
Yeah, cell rejuvenation.
Yeah, you told me once you've been working with cell biology for 20 years, and then you found out I don't have to sit here.
Yes.
I can do something else. So I have a main question here about we're working with alternative medicine on this center, and we need somebody to tell the difference between the school medicine, alternative medicine.
Okay.
The main difference. What's that?
Well, we should first consider medicine more from a theological perspective. That's more divine or more religious in a way, but because all our laws come more from this, and if we could consider medicine to be, which is a word that's used right across the world with the natives, the word that's closest means intention. So medicine, you could really say, really is a word which relates to intention. So, and certainly 33% of all the placebo effect of things that's got never could be ruled out as any confounding variable, which is a fact of itself, which has validity and reliability. That 33% could get a placebo effect with something. But today it's not possible for anybody to rule out that how one's psychology is other than also a factor.
Yes, of course. But we see the main difference between school medicine and alternative medicine. The school medicine is using lots of chemicals.
Yes, right.
And I feel that that's not good for the body.
Right. No. Well, well, that's not medicine. No one could say a poison is medicine. We could say that's a drug. And I think that we rightfully should use the word drug or chemical or synthetic, I think is probably a better word, even to describe what's natural versus what's synthetic, because the human body's become like a toxic ground for accumulation, bioaccumulation of all these toxins, and there is no study that's done on the cocktail, the cocktail effect. Excuse me. There's a cocktail effect going on, you know, and but it's interesting that Prozac can be found in 1 part per billion in waterways, and that's enough to in lots of streams today. Prozac.
Prozac.
And it's a gender bender. These synthetics are sort of really like diamonds are forever. They're like plastics which have a long life, like a diamond does in a way. So they don't really break down properly.
So they don't get out of your body either then?
No. And so we've become the most toxic sort of life form in the world. In 18 states in the Union of America, they can find percolate, which is a jet fuel additive in breast milk. So the vast majority of all the mothers have that in their breast milk. So we can find all these additives and everything sort of, and for instance, off the coast of California, they have a huge plant works which the effluage goes out into the sea, and into the deep sea, and they've examined the bottom dwellers of this ocean floor, and it finds all these gender bender sorts of chemicals where they've feminized all of the fish, or they've caused them to become hermaphrodites more and things.
Is this from medicines?
Well, every single synthetic that's produced is something which is not able to be broken down properly. But we could consider that medicine certainly could not be considered synthetic necessarily. I think it's better to be called a synthetic and a chemical or a drug. But medicine, everyone could say, certainly involves more a holistic approach to persons getting well, and things which restore the immune system rather than break or tear it down. medicine, you could say, really should be redefined. Certainly, healing is the word which we should use, which that's the truth. The word cure is a very dirty word which comes from pickling. So, you know, when things were pickled...
what do you mean with pickled?
Well, pickled skins of animals were preserved and they were cured. The skin had to be cured, so it was pickled. Or they would have the flesh of an animal and they would smoke it or salt it to cure it. And so then mold, fungus and yeast seemingly wouldn't overcome it quite. It would be preserved in some way, you know. Otherwise it would break down into bacteria. So the word cure comes from pickling, and it is a truth that the word should be reserved for that form, because it always has been, so why would we want to change that? But cure is a term for pickling, basically. Certainly that's not healing. Pickling. When you pickle a tree, you know, or pickle something, you know, radiate it, for instance, so it won't break down into mould. I think we've just thrown the baby out with the bathwater, sort of thing. You know, it's overkill basically. But I think it's a great question. Should be of responsibility for people to have informed consent, and physicians to have informed consent. And do most of these people have informed consent? I wonder. Informed consent really is where a person is made aware of all which is a possibility to make a proper decision and educatedness. And then lots of people might not be educated as to the side effects and direct effects of synthetics, which they have direct effects and they add up. And so when the state gets hold of children, for instance, they drug a 3 out of 4. So,
talking about vaccines, or?
Well, the moment the state could have become the parent of a child, for instance, the child is vaccinated heavily and drugged heavily, and 3 out of 4 of these children are put on to psychotropics and things. So there is no soul, you know, whereas, you know, we have a soul here. You have to sort of have more of a soul, but
in medicine.
Well, yes, because when something is just comes from a book but has no soul, you know, something which is really spoken over somebody that they can be healed up, and that's put into past tense, can be something which is person's very important for them to hear this. But if someone never said these words, you know, they might not be having as good an effect as what they could have or can have by having people hear that they can be healed up as a result of hearing this.
But if you have an example here, this is very heavy stuff. If people have traumas, is maybe one of the main problems in every country. Some people go to doctors and get chemicals, Prozac and all these things. But if you have a trauma in general, what you're talking about talking to people, you have people that gives you love and want to help you.
I think that with all these things, that trauma that's existing is more like a medical form of battery, or a physical form of battery actually, because we're talking about decisions that could be made over a person's life which drastically affect and alter the course of their life. And if they're being asked to wear their nose to the left, and persons don't have informed consent from the other that will be all right with them to wear their nose to the left, I think that all sorts of activities at the moment, especially the court systems and in family system and in medicine, people might not really have informed consent. But I think that it's really important that people become more educated about to make choices for themselves. And there's full disclosure, you see. You can't have something which is a statistic which is just bantered around without having some validity or reliability in our thinking put to that. But certainly synthetics don't have any natural paradigm to rest within, because you've just ended up with more and more toxic overload. And if we don't know that there's a gut in the a brain and a gut combined downstairs, which produces like neurotransmitters and things, which cause blood to flow through regions of the brain, but then we're just treating with synthetic, we could be really missing the bus. So this, which is an urgent message, I feel, is really for people to be defining what medicine is. Well, this, what you're doing here, I would consider to be more traditional medicine, because you're holistically looking at the person in the way they move, you know, is blood flowing, have they got a compassionate communication, and people can be taught compassionate communication can be far more powerful than antipsychotic medication, and studies do show this. So unless you're considering the whole, and one's considering what to do to clear away the debris that's existing in the body and reduce the toxic burden and detoxify people.
How can you, what's the best way to detox?
Well, it is amazing that most doctors could know how to put some poison in, but then when you ask them how to get it out, this is like a serious question. But people could learn more. Of course, this is the science of autolysis, which is the breaking down of matter which is not meant to be there. And you have to follow a science of reducing all energy that would be expended on digestion, because once no energy really is being spent on digestion, it triggers this state of autolysis. It's sort of like a mechanism. Autolysis is the breaking down of matter which is not meant to be in the body. And so the body will triggers a state of autolysis in several ways, but one important way is to cause there to be no energy involved in digestion. Whilst energy could be involved in digestion, it's not easy to trigger a state of autolysis. So, you know, but nature perfectly has designed an operating table for us that we could be applying to assist to help, which is a modern dilemma where there is a need for a greater depth of investigation into psychically, emotionally, through Tai Chi, through massage, through therapy of whole brain patterning of things, and nutrition.
Nutrition is your special field, isn't it?
Well, I know that one could teach persons how to think, but if we haven't taught them how to feed themselves, it could be just not right. It's like as if the roof has been leaking pretty bad and lots of attention is to sweeping the floor or changing the furnishing, but we have to fix the roof which is leaking, and this roof which is leaking, I think, which we all could agree today, most people know that food is a major factor in people's health and wellness, or lack of it. But today, for instance, we live in a world where it's illegal for people to have any pasteurized almonds, unpasteurized almonds, but it's legal to have a gun. Yes. And so, you know, and it's become illegal for someone to hand fruit to their neighbour or vegetables. And we're living in a world where if there could be more toxins and things, that food could be made, come to the table. But if it's less toxins, well, there has to be a fight with that, because we only want more chemicals on the table, sort of thing. But
we have 40 seconds in. We have to cut it off now. Maybe we have a part 2. I want to just say thank you very much for this interview. You're going to have a lecture on open house on Unity Center the last part of last week in August, and maybe we'll talk with you later.
Fabulous.
Okay.
Thanks
you. Thank you very much.